Yeah, let's do it. Let's roll. 69er.
All right, Doom Nation, this is Doomcast number 69. Spare me all the ha-ha-has.
Ha ha ha. Favorite number. Ha ha ha.
My favorite number.
It's the year I was born.
1969?
Yeah.
All right, well, welcome. Doomcast.com is the website. Charlie McGrath is the man over there who has made it. He feels great, but he's got a head cold. We'll make it through the show. Maybe
I'll try to not blow my nose in the mic.
Yeah, maybe some boogers along the way, but yeah, I guess that's pretty relatively mild. So
The booger man.
That's why we call it the Doomcast. For the last year, there's been a lot of doom and gloom. Not so much on the show. I think a lot of people initially think that we have a lot of doom and gloom on this program, and not necessarily the case. The name might be just a little bit misleading, but that throws people off of the scent. So, what's up, Charlie?
There's plenty of doomy stuff we talk about. There's no doubt about that. We just try to have a little fun with it. You know, I just finished an hour radio show on Rinse, and that's all serious stuff.
Yeah.
And
well, what did you talk about? How was it?
It was good. It was a good program. I talked a little bit about stuff I want to maybe even get into a little bit tonight. We wrapped up with talking about, the onslaught of dead Americans at the hands of law enforcement. And I'm sure we're going to get into that. I mean, what's going on in New York with Eric Garner, the continued Ferguson story. But, they're in the media now, but media's making a big deal. They're trying to make it a black-white thing or race thing. On both sides, they're you have Sean Hannity last night calling for the arrest of Michael Brown's stepdad because he's saying burn the bitch down, when he just lost his kid, which I can relate. I can relate to that, Doug Owen. I mean, I could relate to that anger and that hostility
right.
When regardless of what Michael Brown did. Did he start a fight in the window of the cop car? Did he charge at him like he was a Pro Bowl lineman to end up catching 2 bullets in his head to end his life? I don't know. I don't believe the narrative that has been put before the American people when that prosecutor came out and basically acted as the defense attorney for the cop that did the shooting. It was really clear, really obvious that he didn't lead the grand jury to a place that was going to end in probable cause in order for him to have a trial. So the hostility that came out afterward, and we talked about this a little bit last week on Doomcast, but
sure.
I could feel that, and you're a dad, so you can as well. I mean, if the camera's in front of you and you just found out your kid is going to get no kind of.
I mean, I kind of blame the media for that. If there's anybody out there that's inciting, I would say a lot of anger and trying to divide people, the media. Not that the media created this situation, and I think that the media is at least addressing the situation in Ferguson, and so it's bringing light to. I think a lot of Americans that they are the target in a lot of ways. They had a no-fly zone over Ferguson with the FBI, and come to find out that it was targeting the media, trying to keep the watching eyes of the world out of this situation. The police have done everything that they can to keep wraps. I mean, they're going after the St. Louis Rams, and this is something that I don't think should be. I guess if you really feel strongly about something, then use your platform for your political message. And the St. Louis Rams did that by the hands up, don't shoot,
right?
That they did, and they were the Ferguson police were wanting these football players fined. Suspended because they wanted to use their First Amendment rights. So it kind of really does highlight the mentality of those police departments.
Doug Owen, you're 100% right. And look, the Baltimore Ravens received $50,000, and the other NFL teams were approached to receive money to use that platform to pimp Obamacare in 2009. But these St. Louis Rams who came out with hands up, don't shoot, and you have the police department demanding suspensions.
Yeah, it highlights the problem. It highlights what they think of your First Amendment rights and I think the Constitution in general. And that's really what regardless of the situation, I think we have to branch out from that. But back to the media, I mean,
Right.
putting a camera in the man's face when, you know that it is going to have a horrible reaction. He's going to say something.
You're hoping he does.
You're hoping he's going to drop an F-bomb. He's going to do something violent. He's going to grab people and start choking them. You want to see that, and they're just like, do it. So, I think that they should be talking about the media, trying to portray that. Where's the FCC? Aren't they supposed to be making sure that the media is, giving us a good, sanitized, clean version, healthy version for our children of the truth there on the televisions? I mean,
well, it was certainly used as another...
I say that in jest. I don't want people out there.
I know.
See, Doug wants the FCC. No, I don't. I'm just saying. Where are they at when it comes to things that you would think would be moral, or the judging of morality? I mean, that's immoral. You know
Right.
what's going to happen, and it just shows you how pathetic.
Well, and how could any parent, right? And if you're not a parent, maybe you don't. Maybe you couldn't understand this, but how could you expect any other response from? I talked in the last hour about I'm blown away that there isn't some kind of riot happening right now in New York. I'm completely blown away.
I'm not. I mean, the socioeconomics and the demographics are completely different. Completely different. I mean, and even with the latest, and for the people across the world that listen to the Doomcast, we're talking about the latest grand jury that has acquittal, or I guess
non-indictment.
Non-indictment. Not that this police officer in question, Mr. I have his name
Rodrigo
here.
Or whatever.
Yeah, that guy, the guy that's going to be on T-shirts, and thousands of people are going to be chanting for his death. Anyway, he killed Eric Cantor, and this was all video recorded.
Eric Garner. Eric Garner.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Sorry, I don't like that other guy. My bad.
Yeah.
Eric Garner,
not the politician.
Not the politician.
He killed the guy selling Lucy's.
Yeah, so this guy was trying to evade paying taxes, or making a business out of undercutting the government, which is a huge no-no just in general. And there's no question about this assassination. I mean, this is what it was. I mean, the guy he tried to kill him. He put a chokehold that was deemed illegal back in the 1990s,
right,
on this guy, and it's just so disgusting to see the people, the apologists out there. I mean, Bill O'Reilly's even taking Mr. Garner's side and saying that this is atrocious. But I heard some reps, and I'm not even going to give him credit, but saying that it's because he's obese, and that's really the culprit. and I make this argument, okay? Well, if a police officer punched you in the face and you just happen to have cancer a few years ago, and you bled to death, would you blame the police officer punching you in the face or the cancer? It's kind of the same thing here. I mean, the guy looked pretty alive and doing just fine before he was put in a chokehold. So I don't think there's any question about this. But the reason that there isn't the rage there, and they tried to stage the rage. I mean, they brought Michael Brown's parents there, Al Sharpton, and the Black Panthers, and all the
tragedy pimps,
and their ne'er-do-wells, opportunists, and those that profit from this kind of opportunity. I thought it was really interesting because the New York Police Department had sent an investigative team, a secret team, to Ferguson to monitor groups that are paid provocateurs and professional rioters.
Right.
And, of course, just a couple days before this, the former police chief who did everything he could to get this police officer out of there, and, I mean, just a perfect timed exit for him to leave. Same thing, I think, with the cop, trying to, in Ferguson, what's his name? It's not Michael Brown, the cop.
Wilson. What's
Darren Wilson.
Darren Wilson.
This is a perfect time to leave the police department, and
he had no choice.
I'm going to retire right now. I mean, that's a big problem. Is that
well, he's not going to be a cop in Ferguson again,
no, he's probably not going to be.
But here's what Darren has to look forward to. There's plenty of cases of cops killing individuals that have happened, that will continue to happen, and will be thrown into the spotlight. The name of this cop, I looked it up while you were talking there because I couldn't remember his name either. Daniel Pantaleo. is the one who put him in a chokehold. But yeah, and I don't.
Penatello, I think is how you say it.
All right. Well, I call it Killer Daniel. That's what I call him.
Chokehold Dan.
Yeah, Chokehold Dan. You know, and you touched on a little bit about the disgust. I mean, the Tamir Rice 12-year-old boy, that was disgusting to see how that all went down. James Boyd, the homeless guy in Albuquerque with a 2-inch camp knife in his hand, getting lit up by AR-15s first and then non-lethal second. That was disgusting to watch.
Then they let the dogs chew on him, yeah.
Yeah, they let the dog chew on him for a little bit just to make sure after the beanbag barrage.
Right.
But the Eric Garner situation, there was nothing. There was nothing. He had no weapon in his hand. He didn't resist. He didn't hit anybody. He didn't push anybody. He didn't grab anybody. And he's a huge guy. I mean, he could have broke Daniel's spine if he wanted to.
Right.
Because, he's pushing 400 pounds, 6'5", and he just said, no, leave me alone. Stop. I didn't do anything wrong. And the crime he was charged with, that these scumbag reporters, at least on Fox, were talking about last night, the crime that he was charged with, or at least that is being used for an excuse, is selling these Lucy's. That crime in New York.
And explain what a Lucy is, I guess.
A Lucy is, it's $7 a pack. Just the tax alone in New York City for cigarettes.
For cigarettes,
For cigarettes. So he is getting cigarettes, either breaking them down and selling them for $2 or $3 a piece because people can't afford, the whatever, $15 a pack or whatever it is. So he's selling them individual, one at a time to people walking down the street.
Right.
I don't know if he brought
obviously
them in.
other people that are pretty poor, that are pretty desperate and addicted, and
they're hustling up $2 or $3 and they're going and buying a cigarette from him. That's his crime. Now, it's a citation in New York.
Think about this, though. I mean, okay, let's say that this is just, the most heinous crime in the world. Okay, what are you going to do? Put him in jail and spend, $40,000 to $60,000 a year to keep him
No, that's just it.
Up?
That's just it, Doug Owen. This crime that he committed, right, he would have never ended up in jail over it, ever, because it's punishable by a summons and a fine. That's it. That's as bad as it gets. For selling Lucy's, you get a fine. You have to pay money to the state for your crime. He would have never ended up in jail for this. It's a misdemeanor. So, he was attacked by a mob, by a pack of wolves, because, as Fox News wanted to point out last night, he didn't comply. He didn't comply. And they kept saying that over and over again. When the cop tells you you're under arrest, you have to comply. And they were making... they were an apologist for Daniel.
Sure. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you ever decide that you think that you have the right to plea your case, that you think that your incarceration is wrong or unjust, if you dare just stop for a second, hey, wait, let's talk about this. Boom. You're down on the ground. They've got their, and then they'll start using those very provocateuring tactics where they basically rub their elbows up and down your back to the point where you react, and as soon as you move, because it's just instinctual, it's a primal reflex, because somebody's choking you, somebody's
or your face is being mashed into the sidewalk by a 200-pound guy.
Yeah, by a 200-pound guy, then you're resisting arrest, and you've dared to question your incarceration. And I've got some pretty provocative thoughts about that. There's a Larkin Rose video, and it says it's gotten him, I think, banned from some even hardcore libertarian radio shows. Even
I've interviewed Larkin a couple different times.
Well, yeah, and he has a video that's called "When is it okay to kill a cop? When is it okay to kill a police officer?" And he makes the point that if you look back to Nazi Germany, maybe it would have been a better society if they had more people willing to kill cops. Go back to the Cultural Revolution in China under Mao, might have been a good idea to be a cop killer at the time. So there's something to be said about that, and it makes a great point in the video. And I suggest you watch it. Don't be afraid.
The name of the video is "When Should You Shoot a Cop?"
When should you shoot a cop?
Yeah.
And basically, it says, that you have your right, just like a police officer, I guess, not in Larkin's mind, but believes that they have the right, no matter what, for any reason, they can detain you, and you have no recourse. And, by that same logic, you could say that if you're being unlawfully detained, if you're being wrongfully imprisoned, then it is your duty to, no matter what, to resist that and to kill that person, because that's what a police officer and his team of other police officers will do to you. If you resist, it doesn't matter. If you try to throw one police officer off of you, there's going to be another one, and this process will either end in you being incarcerated, or you or the police officers and all of the ones that will come after them all have to die. And
it's a real, Doug, you're right, and what you're saying is right, and my problem with that is I it's compelling, that the argument that Larkin makes and others.
Well, it's the idea that you have just as much right to resist.
Yeah, but you better realize you're going to end up just as dead.
Oh, yeah.
Eric
Well,
Garner.
I mean, you pay a consequence for civil disobedience. And that's all there is to it. I mean,
yeah.
Just because I think that you're just in resisting, just like I believe that if it's unjust, that it's wrong for another human being to incarcerate you on a very philosophical level. The question always will be for you is whether or not you think that it's worth living through. So the people that believe that it's always okay for the cop, no matter what, to incarcerate you, to do everything in their power to hold you there, to put you in a cage, that they have the right to kill you, you're not going to be able to ever probably compel those kind of people on Fox News, or I would say 98% of the people out there, even maybe Doom Nation, that would say, "Ooh, Doug, that's a really, really touchy line, or you're really close to the edge of what's appropriate." I think we can all agree that Eric Garner didn't have to die, and the response by the Obama administration is very interesting. Okay, they have a review of the 1033 program, and the review found that there's no accountability, that there is no oversight, and that the police departments across the nation, along with the U.S. military, are pretty much militarizing, and that is not going to be addressed. Now, have you heard about the solution? The solution is to give body cams to police departments across the nation.
Yeah, that'll help. That
$263 million in funding for police cameras. Now listen to this. So over 3 years, $75 million. So I said, wow, I mean, this is what a lot of people want. They want accountability. They want people being able to see what police officers are doing. I mean, we should be able to scrutinize them. They do need oversight. We do need transparency. But I started looking into this, and a report from Boone of Alabama highlights exactly what I knew it would ultimately be, and that is the new Utah data center. The one that they're trying to shut the water off to.
The fusion center, the massive billion-dollar fusion center.
All of these cameras are going to be linked into this system that will provide automatic number plate or license plate and facial recognition with GPS data. They're going to have these updated Google spy cams, the Google Glass, updated, militarized, feeding all of this information not to local police departments, not to states, but to the NSA through the fusion centers. So this is, the argument, bravo.
Way to spin the death of innocent Americans into the further entrenchment into the Nazi police state. Where you're going to have every cop on the beat now.
No, Nazi. They're going to
resource.
see everything.
Yeah, every cop will be a resource. Every time that he is pull someone over, they're doing this multiple times a day, every day. All that information will be, tucked away into the police state, into the NSA, and it is a totalitarian wet dream, Doug Owen.
Oh yeah.
And if it were true that this could prevent, look. The cases that we're talking about, Eric Garner, James Boyd, Daniel Rodrigo, Tamir Rice, all this stuff is caught on tape. I mean, there's evidence of all this. The only one, Michael Brown, there was no video evidence of what occurred here. But we have video every single day of cops being abusive or exceeding their authority, or beating down, teenagers or killing people. We have it all the time. And,
it's before we just indict police officers, I was talking about this with my wife, and it's an indictment on humanity. Okay, police officers are just people with badges, and if you meet people that have, I meet them all the time, that have some pretty interesting ideas and ethical backgrounds that end up behind the shield using that. You're going to have, I mean, you have to account for this. There's going to be 10%, maybe 20%, according to some, of any demographic of just people in general on planet Earth that are psychopaths. And that's why you have to have accountability, because you know that they're going to be psychopaths in the military. They're going to be psychopaths in the police departments. It's just the way it is. Yeah. So I think that there's great police officers that are out there that are doing their job. Police officers are only doing what people like the mayor, like Michael Bloomberg, perfect example. I mean, in New York, they have a stop and frisk program that was ruled, I don't know how many times, unconstitutional, unenforceable. That's the kind of police brutality and mentality that they have there. They've bred in places like Ferguson, Missouri. But in New York, you just don't have the same kind of, I think, just, massive amounts of poverty. So you don't have so many people that are disenfranchised that are already upset about a lot of other things. And so you're going to see more and more of these flashpoints. A lot of it's socioeconomic. And listening to the dirtbags on the Sunday shows, excuse me, I'm just so tired of the race baiting and the faux solutions where they're talking about, well, all the black problems and the demographics on black crime and all of these things, African Americans not having father figures. And I mean, the discussions go on and on and on, and as if there's a government solution. Oh, we need more schooling and better programs and blah, all of these things that are going to be, you and I know, going to, just like these damn body cams that'll be going back to the fusion centers, are all just crappy solutions that are just horrible problems in and of themselves that solve nothing, that turn people into...
The narrative is more and more government. And even
always.
Even in Ferguson, right, when there was a sympathetic media the night of the announcement, it was amazing to me to watch the second or the third night when you had the National Guard out there, you had more police in riot gear out there, and they had the 1033 vehicles rolling down the street, and almost to a media outlet, it was praising the expansion of these troops hitting the streets as being the calming factor in Ferguson. This is what prevented any further riots. It was just showing that more government, more cops, more soldiers on the street, more equipment, more tactics that is treating it more like a battlefield than a city is beneficial, and it reduces the violence.
They didn't do their job. They didn't protect the property. All they did was try to, rile up people, and in some videos, I think questionably, or at least maybe probably...
it goes back to your 10%. I mean,
setting fires, sticking their guns in people's faces.
Right. It goes back to your 10%, Doug. I mean, in a crowd, you're going to have 10% provocateurs or just scumbags who are going to take the opportunity for this hostility to go steal, new tennis shoes or beef jerky or whatever they can get their hands on. Mm-hmm. But the rate, you're talking about the race baiting. Even the mayor, what's his name, De Blasio, I think that's how you say his name. He comes on talking about, I don't even know how this whole thing will play out, because he's basically slamming the police as he warns his son about, how to deal. And this is a white guy, right? And he warns his son on how to deal.
He's a Jewish guy too, so he's really into Israel first, and he's one of those guys. He might even be a dual Israeli citizen. I don't know. De Blasio is just the latest scumbag that is in charge of New York. I don't know why people continue to vote for these. I mean, it's like Bloomberg. Okay, perfect example. The guy's a media baron. He's super rich. He spent more money trying to get the job, going out there and paying for the advertisement. That it's pretty easy when you're a effing media baron. So he spent more money, even of his own money, as well connected as he is, to get to be the mayor of New York City. Why would you do that? Why would you go into a job? Why would you spend millions of dollars to get a job that pays you $30,000 a year? It makes no sense whatsoever. And you should not trust anybody that does that, because obviously there's a hidden agenda. In his case, it's pretty overt. It's me. I just want to rule over your world and take guns out of Americans' hands because you shouldn't have them. But these thugs in Ferguson, these are the guys that need more guns. Okay, they need more guns to go after people that dare sell cigarettes, dare bring them in from New Jersey, who dare to try to screw the state of New York out of
$7 a pack.
$7. $7. We're going to chokehold them. I mean, that's the kind of mentality that has to be scrutinized. And so I'm not saying it's okay to shoot police officers.
I know you're not big on establishment media and watching it, but I couldn't help.
I watch it all the time. I watch the Sunday shows. I like to get all the propaganda from the PBS News Hour.
Well, last night, I'm sitting here and I'm going between CNN and Fox and MSNBC, just trying to see what the narrative's going to be. How if I'm black am I supposed to respond? How if I'm white am I supposed? According to
white people are evil. Okay, just understand that there's white privilege. Okay, and being white means that there's a certain amount,
you okay, buddy?
Certain amount of awesomeness to your life, and you get away with everything. And black people should probably hate you.
If I'm white, I'm supposed to sit back and say, you know what? He should have complied. He should have. And that wasn't a chokehold. That was a headlock because Sean Hannity said it was a headlock. And, oh, by the way, what happened in Ferguson, I shouldn't even think about that. I should think about what the stepdad had to say and why isn't he in jail? And let this.
I shouldn't question that person in the media, the responsible journalist, okay, if you want to use a really inflammatory term, a journalist. Why would somebody with journalistic integrity decide to do that? What happened to the ethics? Don't they have to, don't they have a code that they're supposed to adhere to? I doubt it.
Yeah.
But
the code is if they don't comply, kill them, and then we'll get a grand jury to not even look at it, and that'll be the end of the story. And at the end of the story, we'll get more engrossed in fusion centers and body cams for cops, so we can truly run roughshod over all of society. Regardless if they're just driving down the street on their way to work or not, we'll have that information because of the tragic death of Eric Garner, James Boyd, Tamir Rice, and all these other countless cases that we've talked about and seen over the last several years, at least.
What do you think if you're a cop, though? I mean, what do you take away from this? What do you glean from it?
You can do whatever the hell you want. That's what I gleaned from it. What cop? I mean, what would they take? What could they possibly take from? Everything's illegal, Doug Owen. If you say shit to a cop about what he's doing and why is he pulling you over, you're hostile. You're hostile and you're resisting.
Enemy combatant. They can strip you of your citizenship and take you to Gitmo.
Sorry for the bad word, but it's the way it is. If you dare stand up for yourself at all, if you don't instantly comply, then you are resisting, and whatever comes, you deserve. And why wouldn't they believe that? I mean, where is the case of the cop that does something like a complete murder of Eric Gardner, caught on video, no ifs, ands, or buts about it? If Daniel can get away with it, Daniel the killer can get away with it, then why can't any cop do it across this nation? And they do it. Unfortunately, it's the rare occasion where it gets caught in such a blatant act that's caught on video. But what do the cops think? That they have nothing to worry about. They're going to get away with it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people. It also. Did you see the picture with the guy that hugging the police officer? They were showing this on all the shows I saw. The police officer and the child in the fedora, the black guy.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
I've seen it, yes.
Okay. Just wanted to know if you saw the big picture staged.
Well,
not real.
Yeah.
Didn't really
super
happen.
Stage. I do want to talk because I meant to in the last hour when I was doing my program, and last night when I did the program, I never got into the Tamir Rice deal because that's going to be the
next.
Who's
Tamir Rice?
Tamir Rice is a 12-year-old boy in Cleveland who's dead.
Oh, the kid that was shot in the park with a BB gun.
Yeah. And I did you have a chance to preview the video on that? I
did. It seems very quick. I don't know. Here's the problem. I don't know how legitimate that video is. I took a lot of flack because I said, well, the video of the store clerk shows him, the one that I've seen, in Ferguson, being strong-armed. People said, oh, that's fake. There's another video. There's 5 other videos, and somebody else took this video. And I always think that, well, the state has more resources and more of a reason to, alter video, but it's I just don't know if the timeline has been cut through. I mean, it seems quick. I don't know you don't see a lot there from the video I saw. But
well, where I got the link was from Cleveland police. I mean, they released this video. They released it. This isn't from some whistleblower,
right?
And if this video is legitimate, which I think it is.
I think it is too. I just don't know if they cut out some time in there. It seems like
it shows the kid monkeying around with his BB gun. It shows him setting it on the picnic table. It shows it picking it back up and putting it in his waistband right before the police get there. Now, the story from the cops when this first happened, from the deputy chief of police, was, they pulled up. They gave him an order, and he didn't comply. Now, if you watch this video, if you haven't seen it, I have it up at wideawakenews.com, but you could type in Tamir Rice.
I just watched it again, yeah.
Yeah. And within a second of that door opening, there's absolutely no way a command could have been issued, first of all. Within a second of that, the car pulling up in a bizarre location, it's pulling onto the grass into the park rather than on the street. I mean, it pulled up literally within 8 feet of this kid. The door opens and he instantly falls. I mean, he's shot almost immediately from when that door opened. So the chance of there having any time to react to a command, if it was even issued, it would be absolutely impossible to get to your knees before that shot rang out. The first
I think that if you thought, if you're a police officer and you're in a place like that where there is a lot of crime. And there are a lot of people that called in that are freaked out about this. I don't know all the specifics, but if you see a kid, and even though it is a kid, a small person that has a weapon, that when you give them a command, same argument, put it down, stop, don't move, and they go to move, it can be real quick, even if somebody's trying to turn around and to run away, and especially if you think that they're armed and they're playing with a gun.
Right.
I mean, there's no question in the Eric Garner case. There's no question. He's just...
But wait a minute. First of all, I agree with you. A situation can go to hell in a handbasket in very, very short order. The time...
I put the video on my website. I thought that it was... I think that I'm not making a case for the police. I don't know all the situation. But what we do know is that somebody called in, right, said that there was a kid down there waving a gun around. They thought it was fake. Apparently, that message, the message that there was a kid down there with waving a gun around, got to the cops, but not that the same person somebody says,
said,
"Hey, I think that it's fake." That doesn't mean anything.
So why would you, if you're Officer Owen, right? Why on earth you're pulling into this park? Mm-hmm. Why are you pulling in within such a deadly range? If it was a thug who had a gun and was going to use it, you're asking to get killed if you're the cop, because you're rolling in right on top of him. Like I said,
that's what they do. I mean, that's what cops do all the time. We've got a report of a man running around with a gun. They don't just say, I'm not going to go over there. That might be dangerous.
No. They pull a distance away to where they could put the car between them and the suspect.
I wouldn't do that. Why would you do that? I wouldn't.
They do that. That's a procedure. They pull up in a safe distance away, but still within a distance so they can issue commands. They don't pull right up on somebody they suspect with a gun 5 feet away and open the door and become a wide open target. No, they don't do that at all. They pull up at a distance. They angle cars around these individuals. They cut off their escape, and if the person complies, they lay to the ground, put their hands.
But you could be driving up thinking, okay, this is okay, it's not a big deal, and then all of a sudden you see that gun in the waistband. Somebody, the situation changes quickly. And why would a cop not follow a procedure? Is that what you're asking me? I mean,
exactly.
Well,
and it isn't
because
like they didn't.
People don't follow procedures often.
It isn't like they pulled up there not knowing that he had a gun.
No, I'm not making the case for the cop, but I'm just saying that you can't say, well, why aren't we using logic here, or why wouldn't they use logic? Why would you chokehold somebody over a cigarette? Police and people do things that are illogical all the time. So, I don't know what led that cop to shoot them. I don't think that the cop probably went there to specifically assassinate this kid.
No, I don't think so either. I think that, and I'll tell you why he did it. I'll tell you at least what the deputy chief of police said was that he issued a command and he didn't follow the instructions, so he was killed. He was shot. That's the official story given from the police. Now it's come out since then that this is a rookie cop and other circumstances regarding his service on the force. So, and all this will come out because we're going to find out if there's going to be a grand jury.
It's a cop that made a really bad decision, and cops are people. They eat crappy food, they don't get sleep, they have problems with their wives, they're on antidepressants, they're
murder, death, kill, murder, death, kill, murder, death, kill.
There's people out there that are like that, and bring those things to work all the time. It's just that when you're the judge, jury, and executioner, you're held at a higher standard. Just
when the policy is if they don't comply, then you go to automatic force, and in more and more cases, it's automatic lethal force.
Well, the reason that when you look at society, and let's just talk about St. Louis. Cops have to deal with a lot of crap there. There was an attack on some guy with teens with hammers, and the only reason that you even hear about it, it's even being focused on, is because of the recent spat of violence. It's just like when that guy on bath salts in Florida bit somebody's face. For the next 3 weeks, every time there was a face biting incident, and just go to thesmokinggun.com, you'll find people biting each other, killing each other for Thanksgiving dinner disputes, all sorts of disgusting things that people do for. It's kind of a misnomer, because they're like, well, she killed him because he was late for Thanksgiving dinner. No, she killed him because he was cheating on her, because there was a thousand other things, just like the Flashpoint with what happened in Ferguson, Missouri. It's like, well, yeah, it's that, but it's so many other underlying societal or specific reasons. So when it comes to the guy that killed this kid, who knows? He might have been, high on crystal meth. New York Police Department Cop of the Year, one of their finest, was just busted trying to buy 10 kilos of cocaine, and there's some really nice pictures of him on blacklistednews.com hanging out with strippers and the like. But
it's an expensive lifestyle.
It is. These people are cops, and so I think that. My thing, or the only thing that you can glean from that, is that we need more accountability, and not to fall for a bunch of crap like, okay, we'll just make them, part of the fusion centers and equip these guys with, cams and feeding back to Utah. That's not
little automatons out there collecting information.
Right? Yeah. That's not a good solution. Look at the 1033 program. Look at the militarization of our police. Here's a perfect example, something that's going to be completely missed. You know what's happening in Mexico, right?
Yeah, students are dead. They're dug up or they're thrown in mass graves, and they're protesting the nepotism inside of government of Mexico.
Right, yeah. Just rampant corruption. And while they're looking for dead students, they're finding other mass graves and tons of dead people that are being killed just all over the place. They're like, oh my God. They have now the actual military police in Puerto Rico, or excuse me, Acapulco, because people don't want to go there anymore. It used to be a destination in the 80s. Everybody wanted to go to Acapulco. That's it's like one of the tourist or vacation destinations where
it's like Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a great place to go. Well, not so much anymore. So the U.S. government has spent $62 million training the Mexican security forces. So these are the same corrupt criminal gangs that are getting paramilitary training from the United States government. And nobody scrutinizes this, or, not nobody, but Narco News had a really interesting piece. U.S. military's training of Mexican security forces continues as human rights abuses mount in Mexico. So, beyond, Fast and Furious, beyond, what's happening.
It sounds like El Nasra. It sounds like, what we're doing in Syria. We're training up guys who are going to be eventually killing us.
Yeah, and they got the CIA. They're doing the psychoanalysis on these guys. Have you heard about the vetting process? They have the CIA. They're doing psychological evaluations
in Syria.
Yeah, in Syria.
Yeah, right. I've heard about that.
Yeah, maybe they should be doing that in Mexico. But this is the kind of people that we train. We give them weapons, and then look at the cops. They're pretty mild compared to other people that the U.S. government believes need weapons to secure their freedom and all of that stuff.
As long as it isn't, citizens of St. Louis or Ferguson,
right,
arming themselves.
You, me, Craig there, and on the left coast. Yeah, I used
correct him.
I used
no, sir.
Yeah,
I had to. I got it. I had to mute the mic for a second. I was having head cold issues.
Yeah.
I don't know if you. I mean, I'm looking at the clock here. We spent a lot of time talking about Eric Gardner.
We got some feedback on the last show. You know, we did it on Saturday, and we went way long.
Yeah, it did. It was a long show, but I do want to say real quick, thank you to Hugh T. He donated $5 to
Who did?
Hugh T.
Hugh.
T is Hugh. H-U-W. Hugh.
Okay,
cool. I'm assuming Hugh T. donated $5, so thank you very much for that. But go ahead. We did have a lot of feedback on it. Some good feedback on it.
Yeah, great show for 68s. Came in from the 903 area code. I like having the longer show with more content. It allows for the witty banter. Thank you. Without cutting out the meat of the show. That's what we have to do sometimes because you have to go and pick up your kid from a football.
Well, this show was all meat, man. We didn't talk about runny noses and stuff like that. It was all beef.
All beef. Yeah.
All
well,
beef.
He brought up a good idea here, and he said that maybe we should do a live show and with cheap tickets and a couple of bands or something of that nature to raise money for the equipment / more frequent shows.
Damn good idea.
Yeah, or a show with a live audience rather than not live streaming. That way you could have a short Q&A and whatnot. I was thinking about this. It might be hard other than in a huge city like Dallas or LA to do a live podcast and get enough people there. But I was thinking, what could work for our listeners? We could do one of those cruises. Radio shows do it all the time, where you go to Alaska, you go fishing, you get to hang out, drink. They have like 20 drink per day ticket limit that you can free drinks on a lot of these Alaskan cruises. And I was thinking, we could do that. Get some speakers, a couple guys, to kind of
that's a big move. I mean, that would be awesome. But that's a big.
Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, that would be a lot. I think it'd be great to go fishing with fellow Doomers and some of the people there. And we do have
Sara Kay and her hubby. Take them from Lincoln and get them up there fishing.
Yeah. I'd bring the Doom family, bring the whole family. Go out there and maybe see some grizzly bears, maybe see Sarah Palin and other people.
And you can see Russia from her house even.
we might be able to see Russia, get out there and hear some Russian tugboat captains talking, some crab fishermen.
Now, well, it won't be. That's a great idea. Let's do it, Doug. Let's put this together.
I'm thinking about it.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. What other comments do we have coming in?
Just good show. Saw some other nice comments on the voicemail line. Some of kind of personal ones that have names and stuff, and I didn't have a chance to cut them out. So just well wishes, and people I think like the longer show because unfortunately when we do it in the hour format, usually during the weekdays, we're all kind of time crunched, and that's why we do need support, and we would like to do a lot more of it.
Do you think we need to change to we did that one on? Did we do that Saturday or Sunday? We did that Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do we need to change to shoot for a weekend night that one of us or both of us have more time? That obviously that Saturday night I wasn't crunched for time. You weren't crunched for time. The rest of the week we absolutely were.
Right. Well, it's hard for me because sometimes there's like months like January where all of my family, everybody I know has a birthday, it seems. And so every Saturday during the holidays is kind of, Saturday night's kind of taken up. And there's, some really dead spots where every Saturday night, would be ideal. But during the summer, that's not a great time. Do go out and like to watch some live music and, try to get. But this year's been completely upside down for me. And I don't know if we'll ever have, any time to do much Saturday night entertaining or entertainment.
Well, we could certainly
like
take
10 or so. I mean,
exactly.
First year, you're not going very far when you have a child. You shouldn't anyway.
The idea of taking it to an hour and a half, hour 45, and I'm going to sneeze again, so I apologize. It's not a problem. I mean, we right now when we do it during the weekday. we kind of plan on that hour format. And there's times like tonight where, I need to be somewhere at 5 or 10 minutes after the top of the hour. So, it's going to be an hour long. But we could probably put together an hour and a half night during the week.
Yeah.
Fairly easy. Sorry.
Yeah. Maybe in the future we'll look at it.
We'll there's a lot of programs, and this is the 69th one, but there's a lot of them between 1 and 69 that did go quite a bit over an hour. Yeah.
I mean, I that's one of the nice things about the podcast, not having to do it on a radio network, is that you do have a little bit of, we have complete control. Yeah, we can do whatever we want. I mean, if we want to talk for 5 hours, I don't know why we would. I don't know why anybody would want to listen to that. The reason that we tried to keep it short initially was because of, I think the focus on the YouTube platform rather than the podcast. Most shows, most podcasts either go, lots of them do 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, or an hour. There's some that are not as frequent that go 3 hours. Joe Rogan podcast, good example. There's a lot of those that go that long. I think 3 hours is kind of the max for any show format. Really, you can go 4. I've seen shows go 4, but even most
that's
nationally,
pretty much going to be your job if you're doing
anything that's syndicated. Podcast. Yeah, 3 hours is the max. You've got to be independently wealthy or just have nothing better going on to do 3 hours a day. You are retired. Not that you don't have anything better going on, but you have to spend a lot of time. I don't want to say that. I don't want to disparage anybody that does do that. And back in the old days, I would do 2 hours on one radio network, and there was one that was local that had a flamethrower pirate, and it was worth my time to do another 2 hours on that 2 times a week. I took over the Lone Lantern with Gary Franchi before he was
catapulted into fame with what's the name of his network? Is it still
Reality going? Something?
No, he's got what is it? The Real News or something like that. A format. Dang it! I used to send him videos all the time, and he'd run them up there.
Nice. He's a nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice
guy.
It
used to be the Lone Lantern Society, and then when Aaron Russo passed, then he became the executor almost of I forget the name of the Liberty deal that Aaron Russo had going, before. Well,
there it is, Next News Network. That's what I was trying to think. He has Next News Network, which is a YouTube channel that does pretty well. I think he's 40,000 plus subscribers.
Better than me, my friend. How many subscribers do you have on the YouTubes?
I think 17 or 18,000.
Wow.
Ish. Yeah, but that it's that's somewhat deceiving. There's people that have 500 subscribers that will have videos that they put out that are getting 1 million views, right? And they don't. There's some that just go viral, but a lot of times Gary's got 40,000 subscribers here, but most of his videos are in the couple thousand range. So they keep tallying up over years subscribers. That doesn't mean that you're getting those kind of views, but
right, you're not getting the 10 million views. That guy that just went viral with one video, like the
exactly.
Have you seen the new rap news? People are kind of upset about it. Some people are applauding it, but the latest one about unveiling the New World Order and who's behind the New World Order, exposing this. You familiar with rap news?
No, not at all. It's the first I've heard of it.
Really? They put it on RT. It's a guy who raps the news, and
just because it's on RT doesn't mean that I'm, my Russian passport isn't coming to mail yet.
Prevalent there, comrade. Let me see. I'm googling it.
Go ahead and Google it. And speaking of, since we're talking about Russia, and it's one story that we're not going to hit too hard.
Currency's crashing. What are they going to do?
No. This is a House resolution that was passed today. House resolution. I'm trying to get the number. HR 758. And the highlights of this, U.S. House Representatives have overwhelmingly approved a document. This kills me. Overwhelmingly approved, 411 to 10. Approved a document which strongly condemns Moscow's actions against its neighbors, calling the policy a policy of aggression. Now listen to this. This is. I just read the first paragraph of this and thought, if I was describing this to you, what would you think of? Passed with 410 to 10 votes, the resolution slams this country for continuing political, economic, and military aggression against Ukraine, Georgia, and Moldova, and the continued violation of their sovereignty, independence, and their territorial integrity. The U.S., Europe, and other allies must aggressively keep the pressure on Mr. Putin to encourage him to change his behavior, so says the sponsor, Representative Adam Kinzner. But, just continuing political, economic, and military aggression. That's us. That's what we do. And we're slamming Putin for doing this when he's not stepped out of his area, his region. He's, it's Russia, it's Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia. These are nations that border him, and he's very much fighting the expansion of NATO into these countries. And forget it, we're sending deadly arsenals now to Ukraine. We have troops on the ground in Poland. They're going to send more tanks over to Eastern Europe to stave off any kind of aggression. And NATO's creating a quick reactionary force that can head off this aggressive Russia, who's really just trying to keep NATO from bordering the nation of Russia.
Right. Well, here's the deal. This is, I guess, the only difference. Okay, at the end of the day, when you make a deal like Victoria Nuland and Chevron, and everybody comes over there and they spend the money and they say, we're going to give you the security and the pipeline.
Yep.
And Putin says, hey, none of that. We're going to annex Crimea. We're not allowing this coup d'etat, this junta, whatever you want to call it, and that's what it was in my
in Ukraine
analysis. Yeah, that this is
absolutely what it was. There's no question
Western-funded
about it.
revolution that they had already bought for and paid, good cash for, and they had already staged all of this. It's standard operating procedure. That's how the United States does it, and that is what makes it, in their minds, legitimate. Hey, we bought off all these politicians. These people, want us there. They want the weapons. They want protection, and we're good friends, and we've been training their military for a long time. So, nanny boo boo, it's ours. And this is U.S. policy. It's realpolitik. You know what that is, right? It's just the politic of power. And I just learned that term, realpolitik with a K. Google that, kids. It's
realpolitik. Google. That's Doug's message for today. You're right. We did facilitate.
That's all it is. That's how they view it. That's how the State Department sees it. That is what they put forward in the World Court. And well, hey, enjoy the $2 gas there, $1.99 in Oklahoma. Enjoy that because it is hurting Venezuela. It's hurting our enemies. The Russians, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, they've already decided that the currency is crashing. Okay, right. The currency is crashing, and Mike Mish Shedlock, are you familiar with him?
Interviewed him several times. Yes,
nice guy. He has it very interesting. Where's Mike? I just had it here. He put together, this piece, and it is. Putin threatens currency speculators. 6 ways to know a currency is in deep trouble. Here's a lesson about various ways to spot a currency that is in deep, deep trouble. 1. Crack down on currency speculators. 1. Putin blames currency speculators. This is the first thing. All of the people out there, you're not nationalistic, you don't care about the motherland, and this is bad. Number 2, accusations of foreign interference. Number 2, Putin blames foreigners and plays Hitler card. Hitler, with his misanthropic ideas, tried to destroy Russia and throw us back behind the Euros. Just remember how that ended. So when you pull the Hitler card, not good. Not good. It's kind of desperate sounding. Number 3, measures to stop capital flight. Number 3 here, we need to reserve the history of capital flight from our country. We need to end this era. That's what Mr. Putin's saying. Amnesty for all. Putin's proposed an amnesty for offshore capital returning home, saying Russians bringing money back from abroad would not have to prove where they got it. So bring the gangster cash back. We need this. And, of course, currency action. They had to intervene because of the crashing price. I think it was 56 rubles to the dollar today. So not good. If you just look at what's happened in the last year there. since July. It has seen this flight. And number 6, the worst thing that could happen, if you've seen what's happened in Venezuela, that could happen in Russia, although they're not in the same kind of situation. Other than, I guess, the parallels between Venezuela and Russia would be that they're both countries that are huge oil exporters, and that accounts for a lot of their economy. And the fracking boom, frack nation happening has over the last year has made the U.S. the number one oil exporter, and the Saudis, of course, are helping with this. So it's going to be...
The Saudis aren't... Wait a minute. The Saudis aren't... I mean, the Saudis... I mean, we're setting a stage where we're going to have an oil war with Saudi Arabia. I mean, they're not helping it. Matter of fact, they're hurting it by keeping their cheap oil flowing, because we see what happens when we go from 107 to 66 a barrel. These not companies like ExxonMobil that have developed wells. They've come out and said they can survive on $40 oil, but it's $80 is the target for these fracking and shale extraction. The oil that is being produced right here in eastern and Montana and western North Dakota and up into Canada. There's a big freak out going on because of the fact that we're at $66 a barrel on crude right now. So I think there's I think it's being...
It's a price war. I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it has to do with penalizing Russia, penalizing these countries that are not going along. I don't know if it's going to work though, Doug. I mean, Russia's really worked hard over the last several years to set up the BRIC nations and to talk about alternative currencies and talk about trading in the BRIC currencies. And now their second big pipeline that was going to go into Europe, Eastern Europe, into Western Europe is now being turned, and it's going to be heading south.
The South Stream, it's out of there.
Yeah, it's going into China. China, which just recently surpassed the U.S. as the world's largest economy.
No, it surpassed the U.S. 6 years ago. This Market Watch article that was on the Drudge. They've just surpassed us. No,
it was on certain metrics they passed 6 years ago, and on more reliable metrics just recently.
Their whole economy is a lie as well. Okay, just like ours. Oh, we got unemployment at 10% or whatever ridiculous number they calculate. Same thing with their economy, and it's I mean, well.
It's like the workers' paradise of North Korea. They're all working.
I think the resolve of Russia is going to be that they have this huge nationalistic viewpoint, and even with everything that's happening today, it's still and I don't know who's really running these numbers, but according to some, there's still an 89% approval rating of Putin, and people still think that it's great to be Russian. They're still
a wealthy nation. I know their currency's in a tailspin right now, but they're still a resource-rich nation. They're still the largest producer of natural gas on the planet.
You can buy it, if you're allowed to buy it. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, to who? To the Western world? Well, I mean, you can be the biggest,
Western Europe.
You can be the biggest exporter, but if I can't buy anything from you, and the ECB is going to print me money like they are for the Dutch and other countries that and people and businesses that are being hurt by these sanctions, so they've got a lot of gold, they've got a lot of oil, and so do the Chinese, and we'll see.
Well, the Chinese have no oil; they need a source, and Russia is more than happy to divert the energy flows south into China. They've talked about liquefying their natural gas so they can barge it around the world and sell it. And there's plenty of nations that have to buy it. I mean, I know there's a glut of 700,000 barrels a day on the market right now, but you're not going to just unplug Russia and their energy resources from the world and expect that there's not going to be any ramifications. It'd be huge. 30% of everything that runs the economy in Western Europe right now, the European Union.
That's what the U.S. wants to do. They want to fill that vacuum.
Well, they can't right now. They can't do it. We might have the resources here, but we don't have the ability to get it there. We don't have the liquefaction facilities in place to liquefy that much, and even the projections there are a decade away. So, for the time being, I still think with energy that Russia has, they're in a position of power. Putin's in a position of power.
As long as it can find a market. I mean, as long as the countries out there that are allowed, people that are allowed to buy. I mean, that's the deal. I mean, if you want to get in the World Trade Organization, maybe you can't buy from Russia. That's what sanctions and the economic war is all about, really. Well, you want to do business with Russia. Well, can't help you out with those Boeing jets any longer. Can't help you out with those Raytheon missiles anymore. It's a damn shame that we're going to start
funding. Too bad you didn't come on board and I think
damn
that's
shame ISIS is coming for you now. It's a big problem for you.
They're on your border. Sorry about that.
See all these crazy terrorists, all these Chechens. Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. The largest economy in the world, they're not mad, and they're going to keep buying from Russia.
True.
And India is coming up right behind them, and they have no problem getting that big bear energy. So I think they're going to have a market, and I know
no problem with slavery, no problem with a lot of things there in India, and in China. Well, I mean, you want to do business with China. Good luck with that. You do business with China. I don't know how that'll end up over the long run. I think it would be better for Putin to do business with Europe, and that's why they're trying to use these measures to compel him. Yeah, you could do business with China, but sometimes it not work out for you so much. We want to get a good deal. Sometimes we say it's okay, and it's not okay. You don't get that from.
Well, you can use the United States as an example of that.
Sure.
I mean, we've been doing business hand over fist with China since Ross Perot.
See how well those Chinese made toasters work for you. You're going to buy one.
It works great. It works great right up until you've run your country into the ground because you've shipped all the wealth and all the base manufacturing base and reliability of supply chain across the ocean. And you don't have anything that's made here. And even if you could switch overnight to have it made here, you have a populace that can't afford it because we're addicted to the cheap Chinese crap rolling over in containers that we could buy at Walmart for half of what we could if it was made here. So, that's a whole other program that we could take up. But Ross Perot was right. The sucking sound was the wealth and the jobs leaving this country. And that inevitably is the story of doing business with China. They ended up with a lot of wealth. And we ended up getting cheap goods, cheap rubber dolls, cheap rubber dinosaurs you could buy at Walmart for 99 cents.
Well, but you could poison your backyard to make cheap rubber dinosaurs. Kids want cheap rubber dinosaurs or, whatever they're made of, PVC these days.
And you talk about, you nailed it. I mean, when I was over there last, it was, you go into Beijing and it looks great. Clean, big city, metropolitan. They speak English, they speak French, they speak German. It's very multicultural and what you'd expect in any major city on this planet. But take a drive 100 kilometers outside, and you'll see how things are done so cheaply, and what it means to the environment there and the conditions that the people work in. It's nothing we want here. I guarantee you that.
Well, that's the thing. People always say, well, we don't have these jobs. No, these jobs are going out of... Well, we've got the carpetbaggers, okay? Now, this is ironic. Did you hear about the Chinese investors that are buying citizenship in Philly?
No, maybe. Go.
Okay, so Chinese investors are being lured to invest in this turnpike, the I-95 turnpike, in return for getting permanent residency for themselves and their family. So the I-95 Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission has been trying to get Chinese investors to give them cash so that they can build this turnpike without having to raise taxes. But in turn, they've had this huge media campaign that was running, and this is one example of the kind of interesting luring of investors around the world that the U.S. is doing. Talk about Putin trying to give people amnesty for their gangsterism and criminal enterprises. Bring them back to Russia. Bring your criminal enterprise. We need that. This is just as bad. Anyway, Governor Corbett, who is the head of the Turnpike Commission, is breaking ground on this, and people are pretty upset about it because they're
So
finding.
who owns the Turnpike then? Did the Chinese own it, or are they just investing?
No, but they're
in it?
being told no. They give money, and they are told that they're going to get a return. They get a percentage, just like
Right.
any investment. That it's government, U.S. government guaranteed. Okay, so you're on the hook for the Turnpike, so, and they get citizenship for $500,000. So I just thought it was kind of ironic because we have people from China spending $500,000 to invest in our infrastructure here,
Right.
And I juxtaposed that with this new piece about all of the carpetbaggers that are going to be the new Ukrainian government. Now, remember Saakashvili? He was the Georgian president during the 2008 Olympics when Georgia and Russia had that little thing going on with the U.S. and it was quashed, and a bunch of guys with no insignia came in, and basically all these rebels that were trying to, fight off the Ruskies there. Yeah, not much video came out, and a lot of people died, and he
Right.
was chewing his tie and eating it. This guy, okay, is a puppet of the U.S. State Department. He is now one of the likelies to take a very high position in
the government of Ukraine.
In the government of Ukraine.
Yeah.
They found out that all of their gold is gone this week. Okay, they have, once they found out this, okay, it took a while for everybody to say, whoa, the central bank has no gold? Where was that? What happened to that? And they're like, well, we gave it to the IMF because the IMF is going to hold this gold for us for somebody somewhere.
Right.
And today it broke out in fist fights in the parliamentary proceedings. Now they've got U.S. people. They had a law, right? Protectionist law. Can't have foreigners in the government.
So they're giving them. Yeah, there's a lady who's going to be in charge of one of the finance ministries who is an American. She's an American. And
it's just
they're
like,
disavowing their citizenship of America or whatever country, and they're being granted instantaneous.
come
citizenship
on,
of
this
Ukraine.
is just a way to stick a pencil in Putin's eye. Like, these and the Ukrainians, even the people that were in support of the Maidan and pro Europe,
They're all like, "What the hell?"
They're like, this really starting to look pretty freaking corrupt over here. So
we're bringing in out of staters, out of nationers in the corruption now.
Bringing
Americans,
the Chinese over here to
Georgians.
buy everything up because they've got cash because we don't. Because the worst criminals and polluters over there are now making their homestead here. And
and I know that for a fact. One of the companies we deal with just went down to your neck of the woods and bought up some property. It was in Houston, which is quite a ways from you. But
it's very similar to China. They'll feel right at home.
Well, they went down there and dropped some major money on property down there.
Sorry, Houston. I've got family down there. Was just down there a couple weekends ago. But yeah,
it's a hellhole.
You go out to Texas City, some of those places. It's like, ugh, it's pretty industrial.
I had a girlfriend living in Beaumont at one time, and I went down to that. I think they call it the Golden Triangle or Beaumont and two other cities.
Port Arthur, that's a classy place.
Horrible. And I was thinking Texas, like where you are, where dry, and I'm assuming it's dry.
Cowboy hats, tumbleweeds.
Yeah. I didn't realize. I mean, it's no different than going to New Orleans. It's hot, humid, jungly.
Oh, that's Bayou, man.
Yeah, Bayou country, and I was not excited to go back. I just don't like that kind of. My sister lives in Alabama, and I go down there, and that's too much for me. It's too Bayou-y for me.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, and I got to wrap this sucker.
Yeah, you got a kid to pick up. All right, man. Well, didn't get a lot of financial support. That's okay. Did get some more. We got a Fiverr. We got a Fiverr. We can hire somebody to do something ridiculous for the show on Fiverr.
On the Fiverr.
On the Fiverr tip.
My name's Charlie McGrath. My website's wideawakenews.com. My co-host and my buddy is Doug Owen. His website is blacklistednews.com. Contact me at info@wideawakenews.com. Doug at blacklistednews.com, correct?
Hey, look at you.
Doug at blacklistednews.com. Together we have Doomcast.com. We appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. Where's the music there?
I was trying to find it. You just threw me right into it, man. So there we go.
All right, until next week, we'll be back with number 70. Doug Owen, thank you very much.
All right, man. We'll talk to all of you next time. Take care.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace out, y'all.